So, thank you to be here. I will talk about best practice for WordPress and all the tips and tricks that I found out during my working with WordPress. I'm not mother tongue English, so if you don't understand, just ask me. I'm Italian anyway. We won. Thank you. So I will give you 10 slides. They are on web. Sorry, I will try to allow. Yes, I know. 10 slides about security. So I suppose you to use your own server, so a virtual machine or server set on to train the suggestions and so on. To have a secure server, you supposed to use some of these things in full at least. So IP table is a kind of firewall that you can configure to have access to just for the SSH connection. Do you know what is an SSH connection? Yes, you know. Then SSH connection, and the HTTP protocol, so the port 80. Then using an SFTP connection to your file system, and don't use SFTP because S is for secure, and you don't have to open the port 21 for the SFTP, but just use the SSH connection. Then add mod secure to Apache. Apache is the daemon that provides the pages for you all over internet. There is also Nginx, but I don't know Nginx very well, so I don't know if there is a module for it, like mod secure. Then always backup your files and your database on your server. Don't do by WordPress, because WordPress has a plugin for it, but add a directory on your host and add the dump of your database in that directory, and after, I don't know, some month you will get a huge data in there, and you can have some issues on your space and so on. Then also, if someone wants to force your directory, he can find out the dumps of your database and get all the data from there. Then front of scripts, I think I will ask for to have another speech about it. Front of scripts are good because you can check your files on your file system and check for your updates. So you don't have to go in all your WordPress if you have more WordPress on your own server, and you can just easily receive mails for all this information if you need. Then a system monitoring is a good idea to have, because mooning and nudges can give you some information about the status of your server, and if you have some issues, nudges will contact you to give you the information and the issues that you have. Then versions are one of the most unsecure flow for your server and your WordPress and your WordPress as well. So if you easily make a cure, I don't know the pronunciation, but CURL, on of your one page of a page, You can find out if you are showing the Apache version, the PHP version. Then there are many files in WordPress where you can get the version of your WordPress. Obviously, all WordPress has some bugs. So if you can understand the version of your WordPress, you have some holes that all the other people can know. Delete the version or undisplay the version is a good idea. Also, JS has bugs, but I did once and there was invocation, so I really know what it means to have some bugs on JS. But you cannot do anything like this because you're supposed to use jQuery, so they have some issues. But you can use jQuery of your WordPress, because WordPress is supposed to update jQuery every time that you update WordPress. So use jQuery of your WordPress and not update one in your theme is a good idea. To deny the access to your wp-config, this is the lines. I will not read them. Then disallow file editing from your admin panel in WordPress is a good idea, because no one can modify files if he doesn't have access to your file system. And this is good, because if someone can go in, he doesn't. It cannot change the files. Then the directory's permissions are here. You can use 755 for your directories, so you can still upload files on upload. And for files, you should use 440 for wp-config, because no one's supposed to change it after you configure it. So use that. And 644 for all the other files. Then, front-end jobs. You can, I have on my own server, and if you want you can do it the same. Remove on your, I have a script that runs every 24 hours during the night, and I always remove install PHP, because after that you install WordPress you don't need anymore. Then check the file permission. So if some permission runs wrong, what I showed you before, you can easily change again. You can also check for WordPress plugins, updates, and so on. I think I will have a speech. I will ask to have a speech about the script, but anyway, you can check if there is some updates, if you have to update some plugins, and you can easily receive an email for it if you need to do something. And then, for example, if you don't update after 3 days, you can update by itself. Report changes file. So if someone can go in or can update a file, something happens to me more than once on some WordPress. You can receive an email with this file's changed. So if you know it, if you did it, it's fine. Otherwise, you will go and check and see if everything is working fine. It saved me more than once. Then I would like to remind you that 70% of the WordPress in the world are not updated, so please do it. But we already had this discussion many times. Then, on database, you are writing everything really is on web. You can tomorrow you can go and Read the
me.
Yes.
I'm not writing.
Ah, okay, sorry.
It's too advanced for me.
No, I was.
I don't understand half of what you're saying, and I'm Italian.
So, I'm happy to see you. Everything wake up. And then table prefix is written in wp-config, so you're supposed to change it every time that you install a new WordPress, because if you use the same, obviously all the WordPress in the world has the same table, the same names, so if someone can force, somehow your database can get everything. Then you can, if you have your own server, you can change the port of the database connection. Obviously you can also close the port for external connection by IP tables that I showed you before. And if you change the port, you can use this line to change the port, the default one. Then, this is a really good suggestion if you have your own server, because you can, use permissions, different permissions, if you want to prod rows. So prod means create, read, update, and delete. So a normal WordPress supposed to just to update posts, to write comments, to delete comments, and something like that. And so you don't need nothing more than this. If someone wants to hack your WordPress, it's supposed to force your WordPress to write, delete tables, change permissions, and so on. So you can have two users, one just for a normal use of WordPress, and the other one to update, install WordPress, to add plugins, and so on. So then, to prevent the DB grow out of proportion, thanks to Google Translation, you can define the WP post revision to 2. So if you want to get your revisions, if you need, you can go back into revisions. Otherwise, you can put easily to false, and you will save really a lot of space on your server and on your database, because really you will save a lot of space. Then WordPress use WP query, WP connection. I don't remember the object, but you can track all the queries. So count the queries, see the queries itself, and so on. So you can also use MySQL to track all your slow queries, if WordPress do and WordPress do, WordPress does and WordPress does. And you can rewrite them. I did more than once, and it works. It works fine most of the time. And you can reduce the number of the queries and make them faster than before. So if you have the knowledge to do this, just do it. Then good practice to use cache on MySQL. MySQL can cache a lot of queries, so WordPress most of the time use always the same queries. If you have a good home page with a lot of visits in there, you always use the same queries, so cache them is a really good idea, but you have to have the access to MySQL. We passed the half of the speech, so you should be happy. Then, this is a good practice that is no user admin. Yes, please delete user admin as soon as you see one on your WordPress, because it's always is user ID 1 and the name is admin. So if someone wants to go in, it's easily can get at least the user, and it's easy to get. So then password may be complex to be safe. So I understood that it's long phrase are more secure than just your name with the capital letter and 3 numbers and your date of birth. Then you can also, if you have the access of your on your MySQL, just change the ID. So the ID of the user is always 1 for the first, 2 for the second, and so on. But you can change the ID to start from 536. So it will be more secure to have an ID different from 1 to 3. Then you can change the name of the table, and those are the lines that you have to configure in your wp-config to use different name tables for user tables and metadata. Should be a good idea. I don't use this. Can be a good idea. Then wp-admin and SSL. Searching on web, I found out that some people used to rename the wp-admin to be more secure, but it's not more secure at all, because every time that you update your WordPress, they put again wp-admin. So you can use a password based on Apache that is really secure, because you can have 2 passwords, one for your wp-admin and the other one for your directory, and you will not get any issue on dependencies between your plugins and your WordPress and so on. So this is a good idea. Then from the version 3.5 you get also the possibility to use SSL for the wp-admin connection. Those are the lines. Then virtual hosts are like this, and what is this? I don't remember, but anyway, sorry. You can, this is, if you, okay, so you cannot call wp login if you are using this domain, and you can change, but was some practice to redirect. No, this is the virtual host to redirect all your wp login and wp-admin from HTTP to HTTPS. So from normal connection to SSL, if you are using SSL. I got it. Then virtual host HTTP is this one. If you want to use, if you want to change the wp-admin, no, I don't remember, please. Then you will find out, I'm sure. Then the wp version. Wp version, I told you that you have to display none your wp version. So this is to remove the wp version here, and then there are some other lines that are not compliant with some HTML validation. So if you use all these lines in your in your function.php, you will get easily code validates with W3C, and it will not display the version. That is the point. Then this is keys, unique keys for your cookies. So every time that you change these lines, you will lose the access to your WP admin and all your cookies on your WordPress. So in your WP config, there is this line. You can easily copy and paste the line below, and you will get the lines above. So you will just copy and paste on your WP config. So most of the time, spend sometimes working on your WP config. It's good to have some more secure on your WordPress. Then the last one. All right. I talked for 5 minutes last time talking about Varnish. Varnish is a server-side cache, and I discovered today that there is a plugin for WordPress that updates Varnish every time that you update your WordPress, so you don't have to care about updating the cache of Varnish every 24 hours or something like that. And Varnish is really, really cool as a cache because it's server-side, so you don't put some more work on your WordPress, and it's really fast. But you use a lot of space in your hard drive, so handle with care. Then there is WordPress side, the cache WordPress side. There are the two best WordPress cache are WP Super Cache and W3 Total Cache. They are cool, but I used to use Varnish, so they just know that they are cool. And so here I am, my mail, my Skype, my own food blog. Please go there. It's Italian if you want to write. This you have to write. And then the slides are there, so you don't need nothing more than this. So, some question? No, thank you.
You're saying about backups and stuff like that. Do you think that it makes your site more vulnerable if you use like some of these backup plugins, like WP backup?
I really prefer to server side because I also use a daemon of Dropbox. I use the daemon Dropbox, so every time that I do the backup on my server, I get the backup on my Dropbox on my own computer, so I don't have to do anything more than nothing. So I really prefer to do this. I had some issues on some WordPress, on some hosts.
Because I installed a backup plugin, and then I had an hour and a half cyber attack on Saturday straight after it. I just wondered if that might have something to do with it.
No, just because also if you use server-side backup, you spend something like half second to get your backup. So that's really easier to use server-side, but obviously if you don't have access to your server, you cannot do this. But you can, most of the time it's better if you download directly from your server, so don't do as a current job every day, but just going there and download is sometime at the same time from the server to your desktop or somehow. But yeah.
Yeah, because sorry, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to ask about the bit about WP post revisions. If you change that after your site's been running for a while.
Thank you for asking. So, no, you have to run a script, I'm sorry, just a query,
Yeah.
if you want to delete the old revisions, and you will find out that you will delete a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But this line it start to work from now with new posts and not the old ones.
Right. Okay. So you have to run scripts to delete all the old ones then.
Yes, it's just a query. You can easily find out on web, or if you want, write me and that will.
So it's a sort of good idea to do that when you're actually setting up the website.
I discovered it after some times that I started to use WordPress, because I used for 5-6 years.
Okay.
So I discovered 4 years ago. So obviously right now, every time that I have to set up a new WordPress, I use it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the old WordPress, I run the query. It works out of the box. You don't have to do nothing more than run the query, and everything will be deleted, and you will not get any issue, and everything will be fine. But you can really cut your database off. It's really good at it to use it.
How does it compare to WordPress? Oh, sorry.
Speaking about contact, you mentioned something about figuring out if there are any updates available for the WordPress and for
You have to wait for the next. Sorry. No, really, no, sorry.
How do you do that? With contact?
Thank you, thanks. There is a what? I don't know. There is a way to use the WordPress API from your shell as a shell script. So you can really ask the version and check for updates and so on. So it's really, really easy. And in my script, I have this kind of things, and it's just a speech about this.
Do you disable the automatic updates then? Because you might end up updating something that is updating itself.
Yes, I used to disable it because I would like to be there when something happens. So I used to update blindly, but when I update, I'm always there. So then I have a QA on the WordPress to see if everything is working. And most of the time, I don't use a lot of script, but I write what I need in the function of PHP. So it's just PHP stuff and working in the lowest level that you can get. So most of the time you don't have any issue with my themes on my WordPress.
How you work.
Yeah.
Do you usually handle these websites to customers, or do you keep managing yourself?
No, I used to keep the ownership of the website to my client.
So
Because
you give them a running server, and you give them a Chrome tab script which is updating this?
The script run every 24 hours, as I told you, and it takes care to check for updates and inform for 3 days the owner of the WordPress. So I get the admin email, and I use it to send mails to the admin of this WordPress. Then, if he didn't update in the last 3 days, I will do for it in the first day. So, because I'm quite sure that everything will work within the release.
Why don't you just spec this and put it online. Seems like a useful thing.
Yeah, do it next week. That's why I said it's really useful.
Last question.
Have you ever used WordPress?
What, friends?
WordPress. A lot of what you talk about here is incorporated in the plugin WordPress.
No, say it.
It's called WordFence
WordFence.
security or something, doesn't it?
WordPress,
Yeah.
WordPress.
Yeah.
It tries
It's
to
everything.
it updates, and it also gives you the comparison between what the file should be and what it actually is on the site, and highlights them, and so you can go through and check each individual line. If the file on the WordPress repository isn't the same as the one on your site, and gives you then the option to revert it back to the repository or to accept the slightly modified version.
No.
Never used.
And it gives lots, tons of hundreds of other options, like it stops people from trying to log in more than twice in 5 minutes or 10
Yeah.
hours or whatever you want.
That's how I found out that there were 50 people, 50 attempts to try and hack into my site.
But I mean, it's marvelous. I mean, it's, to me, if you look at it, you can see all the people that are trying to access admin on your, you know,
Cool. Yeah.
and you see the page scrolling down, and every few minutes there's somebody trying to
Something like a
trying out that whole
log
look of
for you.
admin, yeah. But I mean, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, thank you.
I can answer.
That's cool.
Sorry, I can answer some of that. There are certainly some things that won't be able to do because it doesn't have access to your Apache, for example. So there's a layer of stuff that
Yeah,
that's
there are
been talked
a
about
lot
that
of
no
things that
plugin
you-
will ever be able to do.
There are a lot of things that you cannot do if you don't have access to your Apache. So if you don't have access to your Apache, you cannot help it.
But I mean, it's good for what it does. Is it'll alert you when plugin's out of date. It send you an alert straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's reminded after 3 days. I give you time, so don't use it. I don't care.